because we're off to South West London, and it's Chelsea, the champions from last year, against Real Madrid. Chelsea at +110. I'm happy with that. I'm not complicating anything. Real Madrid +280. The under over 2.5. I expect a tight game. Maybe the under's the value, and that's why it's at -130. The draw is at +235. I think that's a runner, to be fair, Mina, because I don't think either of these sides are going to want to get beat. But Chelsea had Real Madrid's number twice last year, and I don't see any reason why they don't do it again.
Yeah, I didn't see anyone. Last year, though, I was quite determined that Real Madrid would win that, and I didn't expect Chelsea to grow so quickly under Thomas Tuchel. But they did, and defensively they were perfect. But here's the thing, I don't know what it is about this year that makes me believe in Real Madrid. I wonder whether they'll feel that because they got so hammered by Barcelona, because there's been a lot of embarrassment attached to that, because everyone's wondering now whether Ancelotti will keep his job, even though he managed to stage that beautiful comeback against PSG. People are talking about Real Madrid right now, and Carlo Ancelotti's job is probably hanging in the balance right now. So he needs to manage something. Last year with Chelsea, Real Madrid were under Zinedine Zidane, who is a pragmatist, but Ancelotti is somebody who really is that much better when it comes to changes in the middle of the match. He doesn't always start beautifully, but he'll find a way to try to attack your problem areas. With Chelsea and with Real Madrid, I never know what to expect, because there will be matches like the one we saw from Chelsea against Brentford, in which they have a total defensive collapse and you wonder where it came from. And it happened last year. It was 5-2. I forgot, was it Crystal Palace at the time that they had lost to? West Brom, thank you. But what I do love about Thomas Tuchel is that he does say to himself, it doesn't matter, there's a blip, it's normal, take the day off, relax. And that keeps his team acting, let's just say, with more logic than emotions. And that's what makes me believe in them right now, is because they are capable of that, which I don't think many teams are, actually. So I would say in this match, probably I would lean towards Chelsea. They are playing at home. Real Madrid are too dependent, perhaps, on Benzema and what he can do. He is capable of winning this match all by himself, as we saw against PSG. But they don't have the weakness or psychological weakness of PSG. So it looks like Chelsea will be favourites.
Yeah, I look at Chelsea, Mark O'Hare, and I'm thinking high press. They have good movement from midfield runners. And I'm not talking about Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic. I'm talking about the boys that sit just off the front, like a Mason Mount, like a Pulisic, like a Ziyech, like a Werner. And they've got an embarrassment of riches. I think that they'll probably go with Havertz maybe over Lukaku. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it really matters. And also, I see the athleticism of Chelsea. There's a mismatch in them three. If they play against Kroos and Modric and one other, maybe a Casemiro, I see Chelsea having many, many chances, and also very dangerous from set pieces. The Chelsea +110, I just didn't need to look any further.
Yeah, I agree. Reece James coming back into the squad as well is a big boost from dead ball situations, and also his pace and ability from the wide flanks as well. So, yeah, I like Chelsea a lot. I've been quite unconvinced about Real Madrid this season, despite their position in La Liga. And I know they've got Benzema and Mendy back at the weekend, but unconvincing again away at Celta, which admittedly is a tricky place to go in La Liga terms. But I think the Clasico was a bit of an anomaly because there was no Benzema, and Ancelotti kind of did a bit of a
12 points clear, Marco here. They've got to be. Yeah. This is what we've got to mention. The La Liga.
It's the Clasico. You can't say that. It's the Clasico. It means
but they did because Benzema was like.
But Benzema being away.
Let me tell you now, Benzema would have played if there was no points and it was like for the title. Do you know what I mean? They would have risked it, but they just thought.
But it was more the fact that he tried to pigeon Modric in as a false nine, and the tactical system just didn't work. It collapsed really. So I'm happy to sort of ignore that one. I think the barometer is more in what happened against PSG. To be fair, and I think they were totally outplayed, totally outclassed, absolutely nowhere to be seen for an hour and a half of those two matches, and then a mistake from Donnarumma basically allows and opens the door a bit for Real Madrid, and with the famous PSG collapse, finally kind of sees. And I know Ancelotti made some changes. I know Modric and Benzema are absolutely incredible in that last half hour, but yeah, I think they're going to have to change tact here. I think La Liga has dropped in terms of quality over the past couple of seasons, and the Premier League has motored through in terms of coaching and quality and physicality too. And I think, Madrid cannot just rely on that aging midfield now in a game like this against a Premier League opposition. I think they will have to put another body in there just to try and shore things up and try and stay in the game. But yeah, when we saw these two teams play last season, Chelsea just bullied Madrid in both matches, and the 3-1 aggregate scoreline wasn't a fair reflection on their dominance. So, I absolutely hate having to sort of talk up Chelsea, being a QPR fan, but they're very much a knockout team under Tuchel, and I think this is all set up quite nicely for them. Just fascinated to see if Ancelotti does try and change tact a little bit, because in that first leg performance against PSG, they were pretty pitiful, and he's been down with COVID as well, so there's doubts over whether he'll even be able to travel to London. So, yeah, I think everything's in Chelsea's favour here, but you mentioned there at the start, Flash, about the price on unders being quite low, and the goal expectancy is understandably quite low considering these two teams. So for me, I'm all in with Chelsea, but I'm just going to take a little bit of insurance by backing Chelsea minus a quarter, which just gives us, if the game does end in a draw, we only lose half of our stake. So just a slight bit of protection there against the draw, considering the goal expectancy is low.
Yeah, I find that Real Madrid are very predictable and reliant on Vinny Jr. and obviously Benzema, because he is their talisman, he's their leader. But also when you see these games, and I know that he's maybe going to step up because of the armband and it's lifted him and he's done great. But you have like Asenio there. We have nobody tracking runners. So, I mean, Reece James and whoever plays on the left, they can really push these boys back and say, okay, you like going this way. But I tell you, 9 times out of 10, the boys that like to go this way, they don't like to be tracking back. I see Chelsea being far too athletic. And also, I have a question mark over the leader at the back for Real Madrid. Yes, Mina?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just going to mention a couple of things. I mean, whatever you want to say, there's still no Kylian Mbappe, Lionel Messi, or Neymar. I mean, Chelsea's good, but they don't have those front three. I mean, the rest of PSG is ridiculous. But the fact of the matter is even in the first leg, when they were terrible, and I do genuinely believe, having watched Real Madrid for most of the season, that was a very strange performance because their midfield couldn't keep possession, and that's not something that you associate with Real Madrid's midfield. So for me,
Benzema was injured, wasn't he, for that first leg?
Yeah, for me, that was the fluke situation in all this. And despite all of that, and despite all the atrocities that you mentioned there, it was Mbappe goal, and it was a 1-0 only, despite how bad Real Madrid are. And I know we talk about age, but a lot of these heights and these levels are dictated by what your mind and your speed of thought over your speed of movement. So I genuinely believe that, as Jorginho, I don't think is in a good place mentally right now. I don't trust Marcos Alonso either. I do feel that there is an ability there when you're talking about, great forwards. I think Benzema is the best in the world. In fact, I think he's better than Lewandowski. So this isn't a first half performance against PSG. I wouldn't discount a goal, at least from Real Madrid. And I wouldn't say that this is something where it's like a 70-30. I do genuinely believe this is more of a 50-50.
Well, I don't mind, because I think that the winner of the Champions League comes from this game. I've got Real Madrid. I've got Real Madrid at plus 1800, and I've got Chelsea as my third leg, final leg, at plus 6600. So I want Chelsea because I've got plus 6600. But if Real Madrid go through, who cares? I mean, yeah. I think the winner comes from this game. Let's have a little look at the official picks. And while I'm looking at the official picks, Mina, who goes through over 2 legs, Chelsea or Real Madrid?
Just because I think Mark will choose Chelsea, I'm going to go with Real Madrid. Just to make
but you're local to Chelsea as well.
I am local to Chelsea, but I am also somebody who believes very much in Real Madrid's defense. And I know that I look at Chelsea's defense, but what I think is so brilliant usually with them is their midfield. And right now, I don't trust Chelsea's midfield.
Okay, so you're going with Real Madrid to win over 2 legs?
Yes, but I'm not making it an official pick.
No, I bet you're not. Mark, you're not that confident. But there again, toss a coin. Listen, they are very closely matched, but Chelsea are the holders. Chelsea have got the better squad. For me, Mark O'Hare, Chelsea?
Yeah, Chelsea.
Yeah, I think Chelsea win in the Bernabeu as well. Because, listen, we say about Real Madrid scoring them 3 goals in like 11, 12 minutes or whatever it was. They should have been 5 down. They got absolutely tortured. I said I won't go on.
4.
I know, Mina. Listen, I'm not getting into an argument with you. I've never won one in over 15 years, right? But the big thing is, I was there like this, clapping PSG, thinking, oh my God, I didn't want them because I've got Real Madrid, but I'm sitting there thinking this is going to be like one of the best goals I've ever seen. 3 times I did that in the same game. But if they score at the end of this move, I'm going to be like, oh, unbelievable. So anyway, both teams to score -125. So that's a 2-1 win for Chelsea. Chelsea money line at +110 and Chelsea -0.25, -135. And that's just a little caveat in case the game ends in a draw and he only loses half his stake. So 2 for Chelsea to go through, 1 for Real Madrid. And I think there's a lot of Chelsea in the chat as well, but we cannot rule out Real Madrid because on the day they do have class players, especially with the likes of Benzema, Vinicius Jr., Cruz, Modric and Casemiro, if you allow them to play.